massive trust issue with
There
the
has
voters.
always been a mass trust issue because politicians, media, nobody does what they're supposed to do. Now, I say, for me, listen, he's 83, so he's a little stumbly, he's a little rumbly. I can't point to anything that he's done as that he did.
No,
as
that he's running for his next 4 years.
But I'm saying, I want, not you, but I want somebody to tell me, well, when did you know it was bad? If you knew, why did you wait?
Yeah, so
can I
answered that,
Can
though.
I get in
he
for a
said
second?
that it was after he moderated the debate.
Yes, but that's not, I'm sorry, baby. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about if you're telling me that hundreds of people knew that he was not able to do his job, then where the hell was everybody?
What's going on? Good morning. What's happening? Rise and freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show, and we're on the 4 Liberty Network, baby. How you doing? Looking very good and very nice. I'm so grateful that you're joining us live here this morning. It's a big, beautiful bill, they call it. Big in size, big in promises, and big in debt. And you know who the big problem is? The biggest problem of all, it's not the bill, it's not the stupid amounts of spending, it's not the fact that it really is just going to eventually increase taxes, even if it cuts taxes in percentages on the long run. No, that's not the problem. It's not the New York Republicans who are trying to shield their constituents from the consequences of the state government of the state of New York and force the rest of us to have to bail them out. No, it's not the New York Republicans. It's not all the collaborators. It's not the people who are in there spending every penny. You know who the problem is? Problem is Thomas Massie. We must kill Thomas Massie. The one who... Boo! I'm sorry. But were you trying to cut spending and actually cut taxes overall? By cutting spending? Well, we can't have that. I'm sorry. No offense, but... Some commie gobbledygook. I've seen MAGA Republicans criticizing people like Thomas Massie and others for being liberals for not supporting tax increases. You can't make this shit up. No offense. Some offense. We got a million billion clips for you here today. And of course, it's Wednesday, which means that Judge Andrew Napolitano will be on the show today. Big brain time. One of these days, I got to get me a live studio audience. It's going to be way fun. Be like Bill Maher. Force you to clap. Applause, applause, right? It's the same, except that there's actual people in the audience. I force you to applause. Applaud for me. It's laugh. It's funny. Press the laughter button. It's really annoying sitting in a studio audience for a TV show sometimes, by the way, when you sit next to the fake laughers. Like, some people are paid to be there to laugh, and some people work for the show, and their job is to, like, clap really loud and to make everything fun and funny. And it's an important part of a show. It is what it is. Sometimes some people don't know that they're supposed to clap and laugh and participate, but yeah, it is kind of like awkward when you're sitting next to the person. Maybe they're not being paid. Maybe they're just like a show, like a fan of the show, and they're just like ha 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 ha. And you're kind of like, all right, tone it down there. Just tone it down there. No offense, no offense. Good morning, pineapples.
Good morning, pineapple. Looking very good, very nice. Good morning, pineapple. Looking very good, very nice.
Has the Constitution outlived its usefulness? It's a question that you won't hear often on this show because I'm a big fan of the document myself, but not everyone is. And not everyone who is critical of the Constitution is a left liberal, communist, Hamas, Palestinian terrorist lover. Many of them are right wing as it gets. Or some of them are anarchists who you might conflate with many of your favorite right-wing libertarians on the internet. Lysander Spooner, for example, wrote an interesting piece called "The Constitution of No Authority," which Judge Napolitano has sort of echoed in his recent op-ed. I want to talk to him a little bit about his thoughts on the Constitution, because he does, of course, pay the same lip service that many pay to the Constitution, as someone being a jurist who took an oath to defend the Constitution and who sat on the bench himself. It would be interesting to hear how his ideas and thoughts about the Constitution have evolved over the years. We're going to hear from Judge Napolitano this morning at 8 a.m. Central Time. And if you're interested in a conversation about the Constitution, then we're going to have that at 8 a.m. If it's a little bit too early for you for a topic like that, well, perhaps you'll like better another topic that's a little more 8 a.m. friendly, even if it is a bit macabre. A Georgia mother says that she is being forced to keep her brain-dead pregnant daughter alive under an abortion ban law. April Newkirk says that this is torture for me. I see my daughter breathing, but she's not there. A pregnant woman in Georgia who is declared brain dead is being kept alive by ventilators because of the state's law banning abortions. Apparently, the family has no say in the matter. April Newkirk says her 30-year-old daughter, Adriana Smith, started to have intense headaches back in February. She was 9 weeks pregnant at the time. Turns out that she had multiple blood clots in her brain, sadly. She's being kept alive in order to save the life of her baby. It's a conversation that will be a difficult conversation. It has many twists and turns. I think I have a pretty strong view on it. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. So we will have a nice conversation today about a very not nice subject. You can send texts to the show. Did you know that? At 573-319-1586. If you watch the show live, you see that text line at the bottom of the screen, the bottom right for you. And that's stage left for me. 573-319-1586. That's 573-319-1586 is the text line. Send us a text and let us know your thoughts on that topic so we can front load it when we get to that topic, and I can share your thoughts with the audience. Because if you just drop your thoughts into the chat, it's nice and it's great, and we love the interaction over at Rumble. But I'm not going to be able to go scroll back and see all of your comments, guys. So if you want to have your opinion on this subject read onto the air, send us a text, 573-319-1586. That's the text line. And you can text us anytime, night or day. Or if maybe you have a question about your order at forlibertyshop.com, our amazing merch shop, where you can get many of the fine items that you can see on the desk sitting in front of me right now, except for that American flag, which was the one that they told me to put away at the Smithsonian Museum for American history. But the delicious boxes of founding flavors right there, all available for sale at forlibertyshop.com. And of course, it helps to unlock today's bonus content, which is about a donut mural, a 5-minute mini documentary available for your viewing pleasure this morning. Instead of commercials, isn't it way more fun to watch our mini documentary series? It is. It's a great way to fund the show, to support the ideas of economic freedom and personal liberty, and get a little something nice for yourself. If you go to forlibertyshop.com during the 2-hour live show and make a purchase, those everything that adds up once it hits $75 is the magic number. That will unlock the bonus content, and it will keep the Wake Up America show live, streaming 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time, like we have for almost 3 years now. An incredible journey that this live streaming podcast has undergone. We've been in, studios. I've been in bars producing this thing. And now here I am at home, only days away from having the fiber optic cable that's at the end of my drive here, just waiting for them to bring it to the house finally, so that we can have high definition streaming 4K if we want. I can be uploading so many more videos. There's so many opportunities that to produce content that I can't even engage in because it's all in the cloud. And so if you don't have internet speeds, you're held back from doing what you're doing. But the For Liberty Network is about to, we're going to be cutting our interviews from the show. Lots of opportunities are coming in our future. So if we hit $75 today, that pays the fiber optic bill. And there you go. Now, is that enough to run a whole network and do a family and pay for baby formula and all that other kind of stuff? No, probably not. So you have to have other prospects, which is why we're also producing full-length documentaries like my Battle of Athens documentary, which is shooting 1 month from now. We're very excited about. Just got back from Los Angeles, California, where I made some excellent contacts, and I'm looking hopefully to see some exciting things come from that. Ollie Loving joining us live this morning for the first time on the show. It's nice to see you, sir. Says, honest question, what founding document has stood longer than the U.S.-Russian Revolution, France Revolution, UK monarchy, replaced China Revolution, etc.? Ooh, good question, Ollie Loving. I'd love to see it. Cecilia's enjoying her cup of Jeffersonian Java. Drew Van Runkle says, does my monthly subscription ever help unlock the bonus content? That's a great question. It does not. I only see the numbers from the individual show and then the purchases that happen during that show at the shop. So I apologize for that. But yeah, it's a lot for me to handle. I've got like a million like buttons and things that are happening during this live show. So I can only kind of focus on like two sources of revenue streams at a certain time during the 2-hour show, and then also give you awesome content, which I should be doing right now. And we will be doing right now. Folks, you may have heard it, they're calling it the Big Beautiful Bill. Now, I don't know if that name came from Trump's branding department or a discount furniture ad, but let me tell you, this bill is big. Yeah, it's big in size, it's big in promises. And of course, it's big in debt. Yeah. So let's break it down. Here's what's actually in the bill. Tax cuts, yes. They're trying to lock in the Trump tax cuts from 2017 forever, make them permanent, irrevocable, engraved in gold. They're also adding new goodies like no taxes on tips. And I love the people who are out there crying about it. No taxes on overtime. No taxes on Social Security benefits. Okay, you know what? We love that. That sounds good. You love to see it. But what about all of the spending? According to the Committee for Responsible Federal Budget, which, by the way, they still believe in math. This bad boy is going to add $3.3 trillion to the deficit over the next 10 years. And that's if you believe Congress isn't going to make even more of these temporary gimmicks permanent. Well, spoiler alert, they will. Right? And if that happens, then boom, $5.2 trillion in new debt. We're going to be staring down the barrel of a 129% debt to GDP ratio. Now, that's the level where banana republics start thinking that we're reckless and a little unhinged. Thank you, Quest Fanning. Get that Rumble rant going. Only $70 left to go. I say it out loud so that I can remember myself for later. Meanwhile, though, entitlements are eating the budget alive. Social Security and Medicare will account for more than 100% of federal spending growth in the next decade. Social Security is projected to go insolvent by 2033, and no, Congress has no real plan whatsoever to deal with it. To fix it without cuts, we'd need to raise payroll taxes from 12.4% to 15.9%. That's a 28% hike. You feeling the freedom yet, everybody here? You know who the problem is? It's Thomas Massie. It's the guy who's trying to cut spending. He's the problem. The guy who would actually go in and slash Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security and, raise the increase, all the things that need to be done, like increasing the retirement age. It's Thomas Massie's fault. He's the problem. At least that's what we're hearing from many of the people. And President Trump has discovered Massie is the problem. We all need to just kill Thomas Massie. If we didn't have Thomas Massie, everything would be fine because it's Thomas Massie. He's what do we call him? A third-rate grandstander? Is that what it was? And then didn't Trump? Then didn't Trump like endorse him in Kentucky and then call him a first-rate constitutionalist, or what was it? So I don't think, no, it's that he doesn't understand. It's that Thomas Massie doesn't understand government. That's the problem.
Massie said that is more deficit than Biden did, and this bill kind of...
Because we have to fix the country.
Do you think that Thomas Massie is correct in saying that this is adding Biden...
No, I don't think Thomas Massie understands government. I think he's a grandstander, frankly. He'll probably vote. We don't even talk to him much. I think he should be voted out of office. And I just don't think he understands government. If you ask him a couple of questions, he never gives you an answer. He just says, I'm a no. He thinks he's going to get publicity. And you have that. You have that. They've got some too. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm laughing. Here's the thing. I really love body language. I don't know about you guys. I mean, Trump's body language is pretty tight. But Speaker Johnson's body language is actually the interesting part of this. Look, watch Speaker Mike Johnson's body language on this one. And we're going to watch this clip again. I'll describe it. Thank you to L-Dubs for getting that bonus content. He's serving it up this morning. Says, screw Thomas Massie for being right. Yeah, exactly. No. Go to hell, Thomas Massie. No, God. Let's watch this one more time, guys. And I want you to try not to focus on what Donald Trump is, not necessarily what Trump is saying, because Johnson's reacting to it. But watch Speaker Johnson's body language in this clip reacting to what Trump is saying.
This bill kind of...
Because we have to fix the country.
Do you think that Thomas Massie is correct in saying that this is adding Biden...
No, I don't think Thomas Massie understands government.
You can see Speaker Johnson is just like, he's not a fan of Thomas Massie there. Look at that. Just that little... See, they say so much when they say very little, or they say nothing at all. And this is how, in order to read these people, you've got to watch very subtle movements. It's kind of like if you had a camera really close in their face, it would be really good acting, really good camera work, right? But most people, they're focused on the orange man in the center, and they're not looking at what everybody else is doing. But if you see Speaker Johnson, you can see right there, that is actually rage at Thomas Massie. They're pissed at Thomas Massie. And the body language shows it, but it's very subtle.
Because we have to fix the country.
Do you think that Thomas Massie is correct in saying that this is adding Biden?
No, I don't think Thomas Massie understands government. I think he's a grandstander, frankly. He'll probably vote. We don't even talk to him much. I think he should be voted out of office. And I just don't think he understands government. If you ask him a couple of questions, he never gives you an answer. He just says, I'm a no.
Good for Thomas Massie. So what do you think, guys? Raise payroll taxes, 28% hike in raising payroll taxes. You know who pays payroll taxes? People like myself. People like myself who pay payroll taxes. We pay payroll taxes for our employees, right? You're trying to run a business. You're trying to build a business. And people are like, oh, well, China will pay the tariffs. No, boom, you pay the tariffs. You're screwed, American business. Oh, you want to pay less taxes? Oh, no, you're screwed. We're gonna raise the payroll taxes that you pay to try to employ people 28%. No, you're screwed. Because it's everybody loves the working man. Everybody hates the business creators. Everybody hates the job creators. Everybody loves the working man. Everybody hates the job creators. That's why the no taxes on tips, like all these giveaways and goodies. Right, it's the kind of stuff that you would have heard from Democrats in the 1990s, ironically. Only now it's, Senator Bernie Sanders and Josh Hawley and all these people. Love to hear your thoughts on this or more. Send us a text at 573-319-1586. That's 573-319-1586 is the text line. We'd love to hear your thoughts on these topics and more. It's easy to get in touch with us at the text line, or if you have questions about your orders, like the ones that you're making this morning during the Wake Up America show live, because when you make the purchases at forlibertyshop.com while we're live, that helps to unlock the bonus content. Jennifer Halbine, she texted in, says, just heard you say the bill has no taxes on Social Security. This is not in the bill because it can't be touched in reconciliation process. Love your show. Jennifer, thank you for that. Maybe an erroneous report from the Wall Street Journal is where I pulled that from. But I'd love to see your source, Jennifer. If you could send that over to me via text, I appreciate that. And if I'm corrected, I will correct it. 573-319-1586 is the text line. That's 573-319-1586. Send us a text and let us know when you hear things like that and you're like, that doesn't make sense. But again, just pulling from the Wall Street Journal this morning. Oh, and Moody's slapped us again. Our credit rating is teetering. These are the red flags. This is the canary in the coal mine, right? Our credit rating, because Congress keeps spending like a cracked out teenager with their first credit card, right? Moody's says that the United States shows no meaningful progress on reducing deficits. But, I mean, hey, we're making tax tips free. Drop those Rumble rants and we'll call them a tip. What do you say? Is it really a tax cut if it just becomes debt that your kids have to pay? Do Republicans have any credibility when it comes to the question of fiscal responsibility? Here's a question. Would you rather have higher taxes, fewer Social Security benefits, or just default and let China call in our tab? There's a question. Would you rather just have higher taxes, fewer Social Security benefits, or just default and let the Chinese call in our tab? That's the question. Love to hear your thoughts. Send us a text. 573-319-1586 is the text line. That's 573-319-1586. Are we the party of Reagan anymore? I thought that when I joined the Republican Party in 2017, that it was the party of Ronald Reagan. Does Ronald Reagan have his flaws? Certainly. But it certainly wasn't that he wasn't libertarian enough. Or excuse me, it's certainly that he was too libertarian. Because now that the Republican Party is strangely tossing aside the legacy of Ronald Reagan, they're saying that Ronald Reagan was too libertarian. That was the problem. It was Ronald Reagan's liberalism, aka libertarianism, like less government. Liberalism means less government, literally, not as we understand it in America, where people, we call stupid liberals, leftists. I prefer the term leftists to use for them. I will sometimes slip and say liberals in the wrong way. But what's your thought? Should we default? Should we have fewer Social Security benefits or higher taxes? The boomers aren't going to let the Social Security benefits go away. The higher taxes is probably what's going to happen. The default is not going to happen because here's why. Because Congress is always just going to pass a bill. They're just going to raise spending. They're just going to raise the debt limit. They're just going to keep kicking the can down the road, like Thomas Massie has said. Who was right about the CARES Act, by the way? Was Donald Trump right about the CARES Act, or was it Thomas Massie who was correct about the CARES Act? Huh.
Everybody but me has an APAC person.
What does that mean, an APAC person?
It's like your babysitter, your APAC babysitter, who is always talking to you for APAC. They're probably a constituent in your district, but they are firmly embedded in APAC. And
every member has something like this?
That's how it works on the Republican side. And when they come to DC, you go have lunch with them. And they've got your cell number, and you have conversations with them.
That's absolutely crazy.
I've had 4 members of Congress say, I'll talk to my APAC person. And it's literally what we call them, my APAC guy. I'll talk to my APAC guy and see if I can get him to dial those ads back.
Why have I never heard this before?
Why would they want to tell their constituents that they've basically got a buddy system with somebody who's representing a foreign country? It doesn't benefit the congressman for people to know that, so they're not going to tell you that.
Interesting. Thomas Massie, this is why they want him dead. I just clicked on a random Thomas Massie clip, so. Who you got? Donald Trump versus Thomas Massie. Love to hear your thoughts. Our friend Quest Fanning dropped $5 in the tip jar. He says, since I was a teenager, I knew Social Security was doomed. That's why I call it cat food money. Good point. Andy Opperman says, I would be willing to pay higher taxes if the government would balance the budget and pay down the debt. Wow, that's generous of you. We're now $40 raised, I think, towards the $75 goal today. You guys are really on a roll to unlock the bonus content. You got to see our collection, guys, at forlibertyshop.com for our summer collection. We're going to do a 4th of July sale soon, too, guys. Not yet, but we're going to get that out soon. But the Summer of Freedom collection, if you want the coolest beach items or lake items this summer, you can get them at forlibertyshop.com. The most badass tank ever. That was a nice review that we got. Gulf of America. See all these beautiful women wearing our clothes. Some of them are even real and not AI. Some of them are actual women. This is an actual woman, the lovely Ophelia. She's modeling our Love Meesies 2 pieces. Ladies bikini. How are you not going to want Rothbard on your boobie there? Donald Trump women's bikini swimsuit as well. Ooh, government tank tops. The Gulf of America beach towels and the pirate flag beach towels are hot right now. So hot, Hansel. Javier Malay, Afuera tank tops for our Latino and Latina friends. Get those at forlibertyshop.com. That's the number, forlibertyshop.com. Check out the whole Javier Malay collection as well. If you're a big fan of the Thunder from Down Under, that's Javier Malay in Argentina, who's just absolutely kicking ass down there. He's like if Thomas Massie were the president. That's Javier Malay. Don't forget to click the like button if you haven't already, guys. If you're a brand new viewer to the Wake Up America show, we'd love to have you be a regular guest. You can join us live 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. That's 7 to 9 Central Time, and it's a great show to wake up with, start your day, get informed, hear all of the latest and greatest in fake news. We're the real news, and we play the fake news to talk about the fake news, but some of it's real news because it's my news. So if you enjoy the news in the morning, but you're tired of the leftist spin, or you're tired of the conservative collaborators with the deep state and big government, you're in the right place. You're watching the Wake Up America show, and the best place to hang out with is right here with us at rumble.com/AP for Liberty. Why don't you just click the follow button on the stream as well? That way you'll get an update, an alert when we do go live to join us 5 days a week. Again, if you click the follow button, you'll get a notification when we go live. Who had Marco Rubio becoming based on their card? Like, I remember back in the Tea Party days when Marco Rubio was running for president, I think back in 2016, and he was kind of considered to be an arch or uber neocon at the time. And now it's like Marco Rubio has become this based populist. At least a lot of the things I'm seeing out of Marco Rubio these days have been much more impressive than what we've seen of his earlier work. What are your thoughts?
But I'm going to ask you, so a well-justified fear of persecution?
Yeah, they thought that their farms were being burned down and they would be killed. I think that's a pretty good justification for wanting to come. They're afraid for their lives.
And should it be applied in an even-handed way? That's an easy.
No, our foreign policy doesn't require even-handedness. It requires prioritizing the interests of the United States.
The phrase says you are entitled to entrance as a refugee if you demonstrate a well-justified fear of persecution.
No, you're not entitled.
So
you're
can
allowed.
You have a different standard based upon the color of somebody's skin? Would that be acceptable?
Well, I'm not the one arguing that. Apparently you are, because you don't like the fact that they're white, and that's why they're coming.
I'm just asking you to say that would be unacceptable.
Well, no, I would say that the United States...
a very easy thing
The United States has a right to pick and choose who they allow into the United States.
Even based on the color of somebody's skin.
You're the one that's talking about the color of their skin, not me. These are people whose farms were being burned down and they were killed because of the color of their skin.
Well,
Well, you've demonstrated enough because you think anyone should be allowed into this country for any reason because they met a certain criteria.
Who has said that?
We are going to prioritize people that come into our country on the basis of what's in the interest of this country. That's a small number of people that are coming.
But you said this weekend that
but
there
in
would
other
be more.
cases, it's harder to vet. In other cases, it's more difficult. And by the way, the United States admits people every year.
Yeah, you know the Democrats don't want the South Africans coming in because they're white and they'll probably vote Republican. Democrats want to import people from Latin America that they think might vote Democrat. Easy enough. But this is why You know, I can't get on board with we have to stop all immigration until we find out what's going on. We need to import Republicans into this country, right? And we don't need to take all of Canada. We just need to take, you know, Alberta with the tar oil sands. And frankly, I think, and I had a conversation with some Canadians when I was in Los Angeles the other day. They were there, I think, touristing, and they were like, oh, Canada doesn't want to come in the United States. They're like, maybe Alberta. And I'm like, we'll take it. Yes. The Albertans also want to come down. They would want to be with the United States. So, yeah, so don't take all of Canada. Maybe Donald Trump is just asking for more than he thinks that he can get when it comes to Canada. He's like, oh, we'll get all of Canada. But, okay, we'll sell. We will settle for Alberta with all of the oil sands. And when you look at a map of the United States, I wish I had a picture of it, North America, the stretches of the oil patches all the way up from Texas, all the way up across, you know, the mountains up to Alberta. I mean, just massive reserves of oil and natural gas here in the United States. We shouldn't even have to be buying it from people overseas. It's only because of how stupid the big government works in the United States that we can't access the natural resources that we have. I mean, God, think about, just the international trade. Look at Hong Kong. Look at Singapore. They don't even have to have the natural resources if they've got international trade and if they have essentially a Javier Milei like Argentina in charge. You can turn your economy around. You don't even need natural resources. That's how amazing capitalism is. But you need good people. You need good entrepreneurial people. And are the South Africaners who are going to come here going to be good people who are going to integrate and join our society and accept American values and not commit crimes and be the type of people who are going to contribute to American society? Yes. Does everybody have a right to come to the United States? No. The whole world does not have a right to come to the United States. Do I think that that our immigration system is stupid and broken and that we should make it easier to legally immigrate? Yes. Harder to illegally immigrate? Yes.
In the case of El Salvador, absolutely. Absolutely. We deported gang members, including the one you had a margarita with. And that guy is a human trafficker.
What is going on? Where did this Marco Rubio come from? He's been taking classes. And now he's teaching school.
And that guy is a gangbanger, and the evidence is going to be clear in the days to come.
Mr.
You're
Chairman,
going to see who you went to
Senator,
defend.
please, Secretary Rubio has the floor.
Mr. Chairman, he can't make unsubstantiated comments like that.
Secretary Rubio has the floor. You had
Secretary
your time.
Rubio should take that testimony to the federal court of the United States because he hasn't done it under oath.
Here's another point, okay? There is a division in our government between the federal branch and the judicial branch. No judge in the judicial branch cannot tell me or the president how to conduct foreign policy. In the case of El Salvador, absolutely.
Yeah, Marco Rubio becoming based. I didn't see it coming, but you know what? Maybe you did. I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can text the show at 573-319-1586. Looks like we probably got featured over on Rumble, so we've got a bunch of new people watching the show this morning. Good morning. Welcome to the show. I'm Austin Peterson. You might not know who I am. They call me AP for Liberty. And this is the Wake Up America show. And as you can see from my desk and the beautiful American flag sitting in front of me, that we love our country. We love liberty. And rubber duckies of Winston Churchill, apparently sitting over my shoulder. If today's your first time watching the show and you say to yourself, this is a good show and one that I wouldn't mind watching in the future, and you want to hang out with us again, make sure you click the follow button before you leave today. And if you're enjoying the content too, you can click the like to help us to spread the ideas of economic freedom and personal liberty. My friend Robbie Theriman in the chat, who I know in real life, he just dropped $5, says, Massie is the GOAT. Congress needs more engineers and fewer lawyers. Amen, brother. Amen. And thank you for that Rumble Rant donation. Once we hit $75 raised, that unlocks the bonus content so that you can watch the bonus content instead of watching the commercials that we have, because I have a guest coming up at 8 a.m. Central Time, Judge Andrew Napolitano. We're going to talk to him about the question of, is the Constitution even relevant anymore in the modern environment? He's a constitutional lawyer. Let's ask him that question. His piece this week deals with that at judgenap.com. I'm looking forward to speaking to him in about 25 minutes-ish or so. If you'd like to hear from the judge, then make sure you come back. If you have to go eat breakfast or feed your kids or do something this morning, come back at 8 a.m. Central, 25 minutes from now, to hear my conversation with Judge Andrew Napolitano. We have some other great topics as well this morning. We've been talking about Congressman Thomas Massie, why he must be killed. And we're also going to be talking about some other stories as well. Not in employment, Generation Z are increasingly becoming NEETs, N-E-E-T, they call themselves, NEETs, by choice. What is a NEET? It means not in employment, education, or training. They're just kind of raw dog in life, right? Just like Peter Pan, there's a growing cohort of Gen Zers who are refusing to grow up and embrace life's major milestones to adulthood, like getting a qualification or certification or joining the world of work. They're allergic to it. And, you know, I'm not a communist, but sometimes don't we all hate work? Don't we all? Sometimes, you know, don't you just wish you could be a NEET, not in employment, education, or training?
No offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
It is commie gobbledygook. Thank you very much, guys, for this. It looks like Andy Opperman gifted a bunch of subscriptions there. I don't know how much that's worth. I think it's like $30 or so. So I'm just going to say that, you know what, the bonus content has been unlocked, so you can watch the bonus content instead of the commercials when I go to Judge Nap. It's about a fight that a local donut shop had over a donut mural on their place of business with the local government, and it involves local Karens and all kinds of fun and funny stuff. I've also got a billion clips to share with you guys, as well as that big story I was telling you about a Georgia mother who says that she's being forced to keep a brain-dead pregnant daughter alive under an abortion law. So this is a woman who had blood clots in her brain, who is brain dead but was pregnant and is being kept alive so that they can deliver the baby safely. It's an interesting story. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. You can send us them to us as a text at 573-319-1586. Again, that text line 573-319-1586. My quick hot take on that story is that why would they want to kill the baby, right? You would think that's your granddaughter there, right? I mean, wouldn't you, or grandson that's there, wouldn't you want to? I spoke to Stephanie about it last night, my wife. I asked her, you know, if she was brain dead and she was pregnant, would she want me to save the baby? And she said, absolutely, of course. I mean, we're pro-life libertarians anyway. But it's just a crazy story. It's a crazy story, and it's not the kind of thing, because it's such an insane story, it's got people talking. And I'd love to hear your thoughts about that story, and particularly your point of view on it. You can send us a text at 573-319-1586. That's, again, 573-319-1586 is the text line. Good morning. Rise and freedom. It's nice to see 505 people watching the Wake Up America show this morning. I'm Austin Peterson. Hi, guys. It's a pleasure. It's the new mustache of liberty here on the Wake Up America show. We stream this show live Mondays through Fridays, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. I'm the host, AP for Liberty, and we'd love to have you be a regular guest. Why don't you click the follow button over on rumble.com right now so that you'll get a notification when we go live in the mornings, and come out and hang out with us in the chat. We'd love to have you be a regular guest. Our regulars are there: Quest and Brad Beckman, BB for Liberty, Dad Bod Baboon, Real Science Questions, and so many other new friends that you can make in the chat. We're a very friendly community. I try and build healthy communities on social media, and so we'd love to have you be a part of it. So drop a comment down in the chat and follow, and come back again and join us Mondays through Fridays, again, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. So NEETs, not in employment, education, or training. This movement started to gain a little bit of steam, which is, I've been watching it for maybe like 2 or 3 months now before I decided to talk about it to you, and to say that, okay, this is something that, you know, maybe is a little more relevant to the mainstream, people like yourself here. NEETs. These are Gen Z who are self-labeling themselves as NEETs, which stands for not in employment, education, or training. And this is creating record levels of youth unemployment around the world. According to the International Labor Organization, about a fifth of people between the ages of 15 and 24 worldwide are currently NEETs. Okay, and this is pretty recent. It shows that 4 in 10 Gen Zers are ready to quit and survive on unemployment benefits instead. In Spain alone, more than 500,000, now, this is Europe now, so take it with a grain of salt, more than 500,000 15 to 24-year-olds are neither studying nor working. Meanwhile, in the UK, almost 3 million Gen Zers are now classed as economically inactive, with 384,000 youngsters joining the workless class since the COVID pandemic. The studies don't delve into what's inspiring young people to ditch the rat race and opt for a life under their parents' roof or on public subsidies, many of them, but separate research highlights that even if they did start climbing the corporate ladder, buying a home of their own still feels like an impossible task. Why do you think there are so many crypto schemes out there these days? One, they're effective. And two, many people don't see any hope of having a better life. And also they're watching social media and they're getting poison poured in their brains every day about people who are like living like the Kardashians, and maybe they're not even living like the Kardashians. I mean, what percentage of influencers that you see that are pretending to be rich are pretending to be rich? I guess 100%. What percentage of influencers that you see that purport to be rich are actually rich? And how many of them do you think are pretending? And it's not, I think, unnatural for young people to not be able to afford a house. And home prices have gone up. Of course, the amount of amenities that homes offer have also gone up. Kind of like when you buy a car today, people are like, oh my God, it's got all these electronics and all these components, all these things in it. Yeah, I kind of like those components. I know that there's like this return, we need to return, but whenever listen, I love my dad's Corvettes. Okay, they're beautiful vehicles, they're fast, but you get in them and you're kind of like, oh man, this thing, it's. I mean, roar, 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 roar. And you're like, all right, well, I'm getting like 5 miles a gallon here, and there's no lane switch assist or things like that. There's no airbags that are going to deploy if I get in a crash. Like you crash in this thing and you're dead. It's just what it is. So prices of cars and homes have gone up because there's anti-death technology in the cars, and there's new kinds of insulations and different HVAC systems and GPS, Bluetooth, Nest devices in your homes these days. So yeah, the prices of them have gone up. But have people's standards increased? Probably. That's another thing that a lot of people don't talk about, is that everybody has these super high standards. And again, part of it could be due to the fame of the people that they're watching online. It's so much easier now. It used to be that you'd lust after celebrities and their lifestyles. I'm going to show my age here, but does anybody lifestyles of the rich and famous? Da, 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 da. I don't even know if that's the right theme, but it's from some kind of 80s TV show. But, at that time when you wanted to just think, oh God, these are the lives of like Rick James, bitch. This is what their lives are like. I watched, funnily enough, I watched Rick James's Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous just the other day. And he was riding a horse and just looking majestic as F. He was living in Buffalo, New York. And it reminded me, because I had been to Los Angeles last week, of how good we have it out here in the Midwest, in flyover country. It didn't take me but a few days being in Los Angeles skies and Hollywood to come to be like, I cannot wait to get back home to Missouri, to my 5.5 acres, to beautiful grass, clean, fresh air, no homeless people. I don't worry about get stabbed, right? We're worried about stepping in a human poop on the streets. No, I'm looking forward to coming back to Missouri. It's a beautiful state. We stream this show live from Jefferson City, Missouri, 5 days a week. So click the follow button and come back and join us again tomorrow. If we even get 2 or 3 of you coming back tomorrow, I'd be very grateful. And I'm also grateful to Rumble for featuring the show this morning so that we can be introduced to all these new people. Thank you, guys. Reams of research shows that those in their early 20s are earning less, have more debt, and see higher delinquency rates than millennials did at their age. Was that Charlie's Angels, Mighty Megatron, that I was singing? So, oops. So people in their early 20s earning less, they've got more debt, they've got higher delinquency rates than millennials, my age, and we weren't doing so hot either. TransUnion, that's a credit reporting agency, found that 20-somethings today are taking home around $45,500, while millennials at their age were earning $51,000. That's a big drop. $51,852 when adjusted for inflation. Despite earning less, young people today are being forced to dig deep for basic necessities like food, groceries, and gas, thanks to inflation. Meanwhile, house prices have increased more than twice as fast as income has since the turn of the millennium. Now, this divergence goes a long way in explaining why young people may feel like saving or even working towards the future is futile and they have so many cryptocurrency scams. One Gen Zer was interviewed and said, "I'm just focusing on the present because the future is depressing." That's sad. Hustling, girl bossing, or work hard, play harder, everybody remembers this, just doesn't have the same grip on Gen Z as it did on millennials starting out. Well, that might be a problem. Many young people today would rather protect their well-being than compete their way up the corporate ladder, only not to be able to afford the McMansion that their parents bought for a fraction of the price. Even those who do want to work don't want a career. Instead, many Gen Zers are eyeing up easygoing jobs that don't require regular overtime, antisocial working hours, or substantial responsibilities like managing a large team. Others are avoiding office jobs entirely. The hottest roles right now among Gen Z grads, interestingly enough, are in teaching, where low pay is balanced with weeks of vacation. So they want jobs where they can, they're not going to make a lot of money, but it's a guaranteed paycheck and they get a little pension and they also get, 6 weeks, or 8 weeks off of a year. What do you get off for a year? What's your vacation like? I'd be curious. So we're talking about NEETs. These are people not in employment, education, or training, or working. They're staying at home. They're living with their parents. Unemployment among the youth is rising, but also their mental health is declining. So there's that. Gen Z are also nearly twice as stressed. No shit. As millennials were at their age. More than a third of 18 to 24-year-olds are suffering from, quote, a common mental disorder. CMD. First I've heard of this. Stress, anxiety, we're pathologizing everything in this society. Gen Zers who are working are taking significantly more sick leave than Gen Xers 20 years that are senior. Well, maybe that's a good thing. If they are taking sick leave, you're supposed to take sick leave. If you're sick, remember, I think probably one of the things that the pandemic did that was nice was that more people were aware that if they really are sick, that they should stay home, that it's a good idea to stay home. And Americans, we work ourselves to death. I believe in the Protestant work ethic, but work for the sake of work, just for the sake of work itself. I mean, you could question that. I'd be open to hearing arguments that, work for just the sake of work because, as an entrepreneur, I have to work smarter, not harder. And the best work is when I'm making money, when I'm not working at all, when I've created some kind of a passive revenue, when 2 a.m. in the morning, people who have signed up for a monthly subscription to Founding Flavors Coffee, I get a text message or an alert at 5 a.m. when it charges your credit card. And I say to myself, that was the best $5 I'm going to make today because I did it while I was sleeping. Is it enough to live on right now? No. Do I hope it will be one day? Yes. Can you help to do that by becoming a Monthly subscriber to Founding Flavors Coffee? Absolutely. Great plug, Austin. Great plug. If you want to see where you can get For Liberty our coffee, we also have tea as well. I know a lot of people are not into coffee, but we do have For Liberty as well. If you go to forlibertyshop.com, check out the Summer of Freedom collection. The Gulf of America merchandise is unparalleled. I've seen some of the Gulf of America merchandise that they have that's been coming out, like down on the Gulf, on the coast, you know, the vendors that stay on the side and sell beach towels. It sucks. Their Gulf of America merch just sucks. It's terrible. If you want awesome Gulf of America merch, we've got the best. I designed it, most of it, almost all of it. Stephanie did a little bit. Brad did a little bit. Gulf of America merchandise, the American flag, great white shark, available at forlibertyshop.com. Get yourself a tumbler. The beach towels are hot right now. We have 2 sizes, small and large. If you go to forlibertyshop.com to shop for coffee, get yourself some other Freedom merchandise. Just browse around the shop. It's so much fun, and it's really funny, especially the fun little AI images that we've made for our merchandise. We have golf balls with Gadsden flags on them. What a great gift for the golfer in your life to give him a Gulf of America golf ball. For Liberty, patriotic premium teas. All of our teas and coffees available on a subscription model. If you want, you can try them and then tell us if you want to do a monthly subscription, you can. If you go to forlibertyshop.com, that's the number, forlibertyshop.com, grab yourself a box of Founding Flavors coffee and put a couple of revolutionary roasts in your basket and sign up for monthly subscriptions. Look how high the ratings are on the coffee. These are 4.9s, 4.8s, 4.8s, 5.0s. People love it. And all of our reviews are real and verified, and you can read them all on the reviews page at forlibertyshop.com. So go shopping, guys, because I've got Judge Andrew Napolitano coming up next to join us. You get the bonus content because you've unlocked it. So go to forlibertyshop.com, exit here through the Griff Shop for a few minutes, guys. Grab some popcorn, grab some snacks, grab some coffee, maybe have a little eggs and bacon this morning, and come back after the break. We'll be right back. It's Judge Napolitano when we come back on the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network. Imagine this. High school students paint a cheerful mural of pastries, donuts, muffins, cinnamon rolls, forming a mountain range under golden sunbeams. It's charming. It's creative. It's painted on the side of a family-run bakery in Conway, New Hampshire. Enter the town's zoning officials, armed with measuring tape, a clipboard, and zero chill. They declared with a straight face that this colorful donut mural wasn't art, it was an illegal sign. Why? Because the mural depicted items sold inside the bakery, and that, according to local code, made it advertising, which meant the mural needed to be smaller, duller, or just disappear altogether. Yes, the town actually threatened the bakery owner with fines and even criminal charges over painted pastries on his own wall. Let that glaze sink in. Sean Young, owner of Levitt's Country Bakery, wasn't about to let the local sign police steamroll his rights. So with the help of the Institute for Justice, a legal team that exists solely to slap back nonsense like this, he took the town to federal court. And this week he won. A federal judge ruled that the town's actions violated the First Amendment. The mural is speech. Full stop. Judge Joseph LaPlante said the town's enforcement was illogical and had no rational connection to any stated government interest. The town couldn't even keep its own logic straight, because if the mural had been of actual mountains instead of powdered sugar-covered ones, it would have passed inspection. You could paint the Swiss Alps and be fine. But the second one of those peaks turns into a cinnamon roll, boom, violation. This is what happens when power is given to people who are more concerned with code enforcement than constitutional rights. When personal expression is filtered through a government approval process, the outcome is predictable, bland, beige, and boring, and in this case, dangerous. Not because donuts threaten democracy, but because petty rules applied inconsistently open the door to full-blown censorship. Once you start letting local officials decide what counts as acceptable art, you're on a fast track to expression by permission slip. The judge got it right. He ruled that Conway's sign code was a content-based restriction, meaning it discriminated against speech based on what was being said, or in this case, what was being painted. And that, constitutionally speaking, is a massive no-no. You don't get to ban a mural just because it's donut-themed. That's not regulating signs, that's regulating messages. What made this even more ridiculous is the mural was painted by students. Local high schoolers contributed to it. The town didn't just try to wipe out a piece of art, it tried to erase a creative collaboration between a small business and local kids. They weaponized bureaucracy against community. And for what? Because someone thought donuts were too commercial? You're telling me a mural of local culture is somehow more offensive than those massive blinking gas station signs cluttering half the town? Please. This is what overregulation looks like. When the people enforcing the rules stop serving the public and start policing expression, you get nonsense like this. And it's not just Conway. Towns and cities across the country use zoning and signage codes to kill murals, flag displays, even protest art. It's the tyranny of aesthetics, where your message is fine, but only if it doesn't disrupt the visual harmony of some planning board member's fantasy streetscape. But speech doesn't need to be tidy. It doesn't need to be neutral. It doesn't need to match the trim color of the building next door. Speech needs to be free. And that's why this case matters. Because if a local bakery can't paint a pastry on its own wall without getting cited, what can you do without permission? The answer is less and less, unless people fight back. And thankfully, this bakery did. They didn't cave. They didn't sandblast the mural. They took it to court. And a judge reminded the town that the Constitution still outranks the zoning board. Sean Young didn't sue for millions. He asked for $1 in damages. This was never about money. It was about principle. He wanted to defend the right to paint a joyful, delicious, totally harmless mural on his own building without the state trying to whitewash it. So yeah, this is about donuts, but it's also about something way bigger. Freedom of expression, property rights, and pushing back when the government tells you, you can't say that here. That's what we believe in. That's what we stand for. And that's why at forlibertyshop.com you'll find merch that doesn't need zoning approval. It doesn't need an aesthetic review or a city permit. It's loud, it's proud, it's liberty on your chest, on your mug, and in your face. So if you're tired of begging bureaucrats for permission to be creative, grab something from forlibertyshop.com. And hey, no one's tried to fine us over it yet. Because free speech doesn't stop at your front door, and neither does liberty. See you next time. When the Founding Fathers dreamed of liberty, they forgot one thing: coffee. Introducing Founding Flavors Coffee, the brew that built America, and the brew that's fueling a new revolution, one kitchen at a time. Small batch roasted, Patriot approved, and disappearing faster than a red coat at Yorktown. Don't get left behind, soldier. Real patriots are starting their mornings with Founding Flavors. And trust us, freedom tastes better with a fresh cup in your hand. Stop drinking those tyrant brews who take your money and don't support your values. Stocks are limited, demand is booming, and your morning deserves a taste of liberty. Order now at forlibertyshop.com before the next shipment gets signed, sealed, and sold out. Founding Flavors Coffee, the official brew of morning rebellions everywhere. Get yours at forlibertyshop.com.
Say it. I'm a fiscal hawk. I'm a bigger fiscal hawk. There's nobody like me as a fiscal hawk.
Massie said this adds more deficit than Biden did, and this bill kind of...
Because we have to fix the country.
Do you think that Thomas Massie is correct in saying that this is adding Biden?
No, I don't think Thomas Massie understands government. I think he's a grandstander, frankly. He'll probably vote. We don't even talk to him much. I think he should be voted out of office. And I just don't think he understands government. If you ask him a couple of questions, he never gives you an answer. He just says, I'm a no. He thinks he's going to get publicity. And you have that. You have that. They've got some too. Go ahead.
He's a grandstander. It's Donald Trump that's the fiscal hawk, and Thomas Massie who's the grandstander. Joining us live right now, Judge Andrew Napolitano, the host of Judging Freedom, and our regular Wednesday 8 a.m. Central guest. Everyone, welcome Judge Andrew Napolitano. Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, Austin. It's a pleasure to be with you. I guess Donald Trump calling somebody a grandstander is it takes one to know one, but this is really, really absurd. There's nobody in the Congress who understands the Constitution better than Thomas Massie. There's no one in the Congress who understands basic economics 101 than Thomas Massie. Donald Trump's budget would add $1 trillion to the debt. It would require us to borrow money in order to pay interest on borrowed money. I mean, how much longer can we exist doing that? Thomas Massie is one of just 2 or 3 Republicans that understands that. Trump doesn't care. Trump thinks he can usher in some sort of false prosperity, and the walls will come tumbling down when whoever succeeds him is in the White House. I wish the whole House of Representatives were filled with Thomas Massies.
It's amazing, though, how much they come after the guy who's trying to do the right thing, the guy who's actually trying to live up to the campaign promises of the Trump administration. And then you have others like Tom Tillis, who will, they'll get a little slap on the hand, but it's the true believers who are the ones that they save the most ire and rancor and hatred for. Isn't that a fascinating phenomenon, Judge? It's Rand Paul who stands up against tariffs because he believes in free markets. It's Thomas Massie because he actually wants tax cuts. Why is it that is it because they do you think that they hate people like us the most, Judge? Because we embarrass them, because we actually have principles, because we actually
I do. I think they're all terrified of the wrath of Donald Trump, even though he and his people have orchestrated 2 primary challenges to Thomas Massie, which he has swatted away like you'd swat away a mosquito. I mean, even the Wall Street Journal says, let's see, the president wants price controls on pharmaceuticals. The president imposed his own tax, which he calls a tariff. We're talking about Lyndon Johnson here? No, we're talking about some so-called conservative Republican. What is conservative or Republican or rational about that? It is nothing but the contemporary whims of an occupant of the White House who understands neither the Constitution nor Economics 101.
What's so amazing to me is that it's just there's so many 180s from the campaign days to today, which you would normally see in politicians, but Trump doesn't have the same pressures to get reelected that congressmen do. He's in his 2nd term, so if he wanted to actually do the things that he campaigned on, in theory he could, but he seems to have gotten bogged down in battles over fighting for Greenland. I think that it was a big bite, maybe more than he could chew when it came to trying to have a peace deal between Putin and between Zelensky. But I mean, I guess I just don't quite understand like all of this like 180 when it comes to these fiscal issues, because again, if he truly wanted to do the things he campaigned on, he could. He's empowered to do many of those things. And it's not like it's a total wash. I do appreciate the Department of Education executive orders. A lot of blame does lie on Congress, but it seems as if they're distracted. The Trump administration is distracted by all these other issues that have taken him off course. Something changed. It feels like there's been a vibe shift, as kids call it. Would you agree?
I can't put my finger on it other than to say that this is typical of his personality. He has a very short attention span. He doesn't read. He listens to whoever has spoken to him last. I mean, one day he listens to Rubio and sounds like a neocon. The next day he listens to Vance and he sounds like an America firster. I'm talking about the war in Ukraine. He's surrounded by arch Zionists, so Netanyahu can slaughter all the babies he wants, even though the lefties in Europe are now starting to say, we don't like what we saw. 2.5 years of slaughter and now threats to starve 14,000 babies who have 48 hours to live. He's an odd guy. Witkoff calls him a humanitarian. No humanitarian would be funding these 2 wars. And And Rubio, of course, was excoriated by the Democrats because he's not the same Rubio as he was when he was in the Senate. He now supposedly is no longer a neocon. I understand behind the scenes, his old neocon ways comes out in what he says to Trump, along with this idiot General Kellogg, and his efforts to isolate Witkoff. But I don't know where any of this is going to go. Austin, the Congress, people like Rand Paul and Thomas Massie are the exceptions. The Congress is gutless.
I mean, Elon Musk was the best part of the administration in my mind. Now he's leaving, and he's even saying he's withdrawing from politics to a degree. He's going to cut back on his spending. I mean, if Elon Musk couldn't do it, if Donald Trump couldn't do it, I mean, are we just on the path towards insolvency, Judge? Does it?
We are. I mean, look at the $37 trillion debt. Some of it is still from World War I, money borrowed by Woodrow Wilson.
Yeah.
Because the feds don't retire debt. They just roll it over at a new interest rate. And because they can't control spending, their credit rating went down. That means their interest rates go up. That means it's going to cost more for them to borrow money, whether it's on the Chinese, the Japanese, or American investors. That means that the $1 trillion a year in interest rates, interest payments only, is going to go up. So we borrow money in order to pay the interest on borrowed money. Now, what home or business could survive on that model? This is what Donald Trump wants us to do.
Judge, I'd like to switch gears here for just a moment. I do want to get into a conversation about your latest column this week, Government Attacks on Private Property. It's a great story. We're going to get to it in just a minute. But I did want to ask your thoughts on the 180 that the head of the FBI, Kash Patel, and deputy head of the FBI, Dan Bongino, made when it came to the death of Jeffrey Epstein. Both of them were notorious conspiracy theorists on it, suggesting that there was no way that Epstein killed himself, that there were multiple intelligence agencies that were involved with this case. And now that they're the head of the FBI, they've come out and said that Jeffrey Epstein did kill himself, which I am disinclined to believe. What's your take on that?
Well, I'm very fond of Dr. Michael Baden, going back to the days when he was testifying in my courtroom. He is an extraordinarily learned and credible pathologist. And he has testified under oath that there's no way that Epstein could have killed himself. But on the other hand, I'm not surprised at Patel and Bongino. The world looks very different on the outside looking in than it does. Are you still there, Austin?
Yeah, I'm still here. Sorry,
there you go. I lost you for a second. Sorry. The world is very different when you're on the outside looking in than it is when you're on the inside looking out, because of this libido dominandi that these people have, the lust for power, the lust to tell everybody else how to live. So I don't know what's going through their minds, but have they produced any new evidence to come to this conclusion, or have they just out of the blue stated an opinion 180 degrees from where they had been? And those opinions that they once held helped Donald Trump get elected.
Is it the case, Judge, that it's likely that the boring explanation is that they're holding back information because of the victims, because there could be videos of the victims, and they're trying to prevent information that could harm the victims further from coming out? Is that like a likely explanation as to why?
No, it's not. No, a federal judge has ordered that these files be released, and the DOJ thinks can just deny judicial orders. So, federal judge ordered it released, and the president of the United States ordered it released, and they're not releasing it. Welcome to Donald Trump's America.
Well, that's just. I mean, it's not just Donald Trump. I mean, Donald Trump is just the latest brick in the wall to a long train of abuses and usurpations, to spin a phrase, Judge. And it leads one to wonder, to question, what is the point of the Constitution? And this is a question that's been asked since, the Constitution itself was written. But there was a man in the late 1800s who you remind me of by the name of Lysander Spooner. He was an individualist anarchist, very much in a libertarian vein, as so many of our friends are, who argued that it was a constitution of no authority. And his argument, the basis of his argument, in which I've heard you make in some ways as well, which I have a lot of questions to ask, I'm sure our audience will as well. But Lysander Spooner's argument was that the Constitution has either authorized the current form of government that we have, or it has been powerless to prevent it. In either manner, for either reason, it has no right to exist because of that. That is the anarchist argument in total. Do you sympathize with it, Judge? I mean, or is it just de facto the case?
I agree with both of those arguments. If the war between the states had had a different outcome, then the concept of nullification and secession, which was understood by the framers as the restraint on the Constitution, would still prevail. Only an external force can restrain the federal government, and that external force would have been the states that created it. What would everybody from Donald Trump to Chuck Schumer do if Texas seceded from the Union, if federal judges had no authority there, if the IRS couldn't collect taxes from wealthy Texans? That kind of a sword of Damocles hanging over the head of the central government was, and Madison was far from perfect. As you know, I've criticized him, including in this column I wrote. But that sword of Damocles was Madison's idea. We know this from the Virginia and Kentucky resolutions, which Trump and Madison secretly authored when the Congress enacted the Alien and Sedition Acts. Their idea was nullification and secession. The highest court of a state or the legislature of a state could declare as a matter of law that something the president did or the Congress did was null and void in that state. That's nullification. Secession, of course, is leaving the Union. They join the Union by a simple act of legislation. They can undo any legislation that they enacted. I would imagine that most state legislatures, even those where there are people in them that agree with us, would fear the violence of the federal government, as happened between 1861 and 1865, when the states attempted to secede. So I don't know where this is going to go. If we go back to where we started, I think there will be a monumental economic collapse, and the federal government will fall like an overripe apple, to use Lenin's phrase, or like a dinosaur, so big, so heavy, so fat that its legs can't hold it up, and once it falls, it can't get up again.
I'm picturing someone as the dinosaur. I probably shouldn't say, but who I'm thinking of. Judge, your piece. Government.
He has lost. I'll give him credit. He has lost weight in the past couple of years. The person you're thinking of.
Judge, your piece, Government Attacks on Private Property, tells the story of a recent Supreme Court oral argument about the liability of the FBI for invading and terrorizing the wrong home.
How could there not be liability for this?
So wait a minute. You're telling me that the FBI raided the wrong home, didn't think to check the address before they attacked a peaceful American citizen.
They attacked the house. They broke down the door. They pointed guns at the heads of people. They set off a flash grenade, which doesn't send out particles but terrorizes. And then after about an hour of this, they realized it was the wrong house. By the way, while this was happening, the bad guy that they were after, who lived in a house down the block, got away. The homeowners sued. A federal judge threw it out. A federal appellate court threw it out, and the Supreme Court is really straining whether or not there is a cause of action here because the Congress has written legislation to immunize the government from the consequences of its own grossly negligent and, in this case, criminal behavior. Those FBI agents should have been arrested by local authorities for breaking and entering and kidnapping and terrorizing.
Judge,
not going to happen.
I need a studio audience, so I don't have one. I'll just have to press the applause button because, damn, that deserves a round of applause.
One of my colleagues, when I was on the bench, this case wasn't assigned to me. We usually didn't get speeding cases, but this guy was speeding on the Garden State Parkway about 110 miles an hour. State police picked him up and he flipped them the bird and then flipped them his FBI badge, whereupon they arrested him and brought him to the courthouse where I sat. Now, I wish that this case had been assigned to me. However, my colleague did the right thing. The guy said, look, I'm an FBI agent. I'm in a hurry. Oh, okay, we'll give you some time to cool down. And they locked him up for 24 hours.
Oh, my gosh. Judge Andrew Napolitano.
Menace to society.
Judge Napolitano is the host of his own podcast, Judging Freedom, which I hope many of you will download onto your mobile devices. His column comes out every Thursday at judgenap.com. It's must-reading for those who, like me, love economic freedom and personal liberty. You can also check out his excellent merchandise collection at judgenap.com as well. Judge Andrew Napolitano, who do you have coming up on your excellent show today?
I have Pepe Escobar from Moscow. I have Phil Giraldi. And at 4 o'clock, I have the great Scott Ritter. Ritter fuming at the American naivete as Trump tries to talk to Putin on the phone.
We look forward to that. Scott Ritter, Pepe Escobar, and Phil Giraldi on Judge Napolitano's Judging Freedom show. Judge, thank you so much for your time today. We're always so grateful for your generosity, and we hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Austin. Enjoy the upcoming 3-day holiday weekend. All my best to you and your family.
Thank you, sir. You as well. I hope you have a good one.
Thank you. Thank you.
A father is getting backlash for rescuing his 9-year-old daughter from her flooded school in Westernport, Maryland. This was last Tuesday. Excuse me. The rescuers were unable to get to all of the children into safety in a timely manner. So while they were taking kids out slowly, he went in, he got his daughter before the building could collapse or be washed away. Some are saying he risked both of their lives as the flood could have turned deadly for both. Others say he's the father of the year. What do you think? Send us your thoughts. 573-319-1586 is the text line for the show. We'd love to hear your thoughts at the number that you see on the screen. Again, at 573-319-1586. 1586. That's the text line for your thoughts on this story about a dad whose daughter was caught up in a sudden and severe flash flood. There were more than 150 students and 50 staff members that were trapped. The deluge overwhelmed the town's streets and sent water surging up to the second floor of the school. Dustin Nash was among worried parents who raced toward the school as floodwaters were rising. Nash was seen in photos, like the one you can see up on your screen, was seen in photos carrying his 9-year-old daughter on his shoulders through chest-deep floodwater as a nearby pickup truck began floating away. Nash said that he had arrived as the bottom floor of the school flooded and the teachers were sheltering kids on the upper floors of the school building awaiting rescue. He said he was shocked as he navigated the streets towards the school. Nash said, I just panicked when we first saw the parking lot. I thought what every other parent thought. I had to get my daughter, so that's what I did. I jumped the fence, got to my daughter, and got her out of there. I'm not going to sit around and wait for somebody else to come get my kid, Nash added. His daughter, Aria, said she was frightened by the experience. I was really glad and thankful that he came and got me. A short time later, responding rescuers used boats to bring out the rest of the children and staff at the school. The upper floors were considered a safe haven for students and teachers to ride out the flood. A report of an odor of gas on the first floor prompted rescuers to begin a boat evacuation urgently, according to the deputy chief of the Tri-Town EMS. Apparently the situation deteriorated pretty quickly. We kind of just went from puddles on the street to the whole town underwater in most an hour. While not faulting Nash for following his instincts, authorities say wading or driving through floodwaters are the leading cause of deaths during flood events, according to the federal emergency management agencies. Authorities caution others to avoid entering floodwaters at all costs. The full evacuation by boat required about 15 trips in total and left some students stranded overnight due to impassable roads. All of the public schools were then closed for the day after that. Flooding, fueled by 3 to 5 inches of rain in a matter of hours, caused massive damage to this town's area, their infrastructure, and their downtown. There was a state of emergency at the time in West Virginia last week. But now the backlash against this man from some sectors of society is due to the fact that they say that if he had needed rescue, then it would have been another person that the EMS needed to step in to try and save. That because the father decided to take this calculated risk and rescue his daughter, that he was in the wrong, some say, not me, because it would have placed an additional strain on the resources. That's the argument from the other side. What are your thoughts? Send us a text at 573-319-1586. You better best believe my ass would be in that school getting my daughter and getting her to safety. Let us know your thoughts on that. All right, quick little break. We go P for Liberty. Enjoy the bonus content. When we get back, a mother whose daughter is in brain death but is pregnant can't take her off life support because that would kill the baby. We're going to talk about that when we get back on the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network.
Imagine this. High school students paint a cheerful mural of pastries, donuts, muffins, cinnamon rolls, forming a mountain range under golden sunbeams. It's charming. It's creative. It's painted on the side of a family-run bakery in Conway, New Hampshire. Enter the town's zoning officials, armed with measuring tape, a clipboard, and zero chill. They declared with a straight face that this colorful donut mural wasn't art, it was an illegal sign. Why? Because the mural depicted items sold inside the bakery, and that, according to local code, made it advertising, which meant the mural needed to be smaller, duller, or just disappear altogether. Yes, the town actually threatened the bakery owner with fines and even criminal charges over painted pastries on his own wall. Let that glaze sink in. Sean Young, owner of Levitt's Country Bakery, wasn't about to let the local sign police steamroll his rights. So with the help of the Institute for Justice, a legal team that exists solely to slap back nonsense like this, he took the town to federal court. And this week he won. A federal judge ruled that the town's actions violated the First Amendment. The mural is speech. Full stop. Judge Joseph LaPlante said the town's enforcement was illogical and had no rational connection to any stated government interest. The town couldn't even keep its own logic straight, because if the mural had been of actual mountains instead of powdered sugar-covered ones, it would have passed inspection. You could paint the Swiss Alps and be fine. But the second one of those peaks turns into a cinnamon roll, boom, violation. This is what happens when power is given to people who are more concerned with code enforcement than constitutional rights. When personal expression is filtered through a government approval process, the outcome is predictable, bland, beige, and boring, and in this case, dangerous. Not because donuts threaten democracy, but because petty rules applied inconsistently open the door to full-blown censorship. Once you start letting local officials decide what counts as acceptable art, you're on a fast track to expression by permission slip. The judge got it right. He ruled that Conway's sign code was a content-based restriction, meaning it discriminated against speech based on what was being said, or in this case, what was being painted. And that, constitutionally speaking, is a massive no-no. You don't get to ban a mural just because it's donut-themed. That's not regulating signs, that's regulating messages. What made this even more ridiculous is the mural was painted by students. Local high schoolers contributed to it. The town didn't just try to wipe out a piece of art, it tried to erase a creative collaboration between a small business and local kids. They weaponized bureaucracy against community. And for what? Because someone thought donuts were too commercial? You're telling me a mural of local culture is somehow more offensive than those massive blinking gas station signs cluttering half the town? Please. This is what overregulation looks like. When the people enforcing the rules stop serving the public and start policing expression, you get nonsense like this. And it's not just Conway. Towns and cities across the country use zoning and signage codes to kill murals, flag displays, even protest art. It's the tyranny of aesthetics, where your message is fine, but only if it doesn't disrupt the visual harmony of some planning board member's fantasy streetscape. But speech doesn't need to be tidy. It doesn't need to be neutral. It doesn't need to match the trim color of the building next door. Speech needs to be free. And that's why this case matters. Because if a local bakery can't paint a pastry on its own wall without getting cited, what can you do without permission? The answer is less and less, unless people fight back. And thankfully, this bakery did. They didn't cave. They didn't sandblast the mural. They took it to court. And a judge reminded the town that the Constitution still outranks the zoning board. Sean Young didn't sue for millions. He asked for $1 in damages. This was never about money. It was about principle. He wanted to defend the right to paint a joyful, delicious, totally harmless mural on his own building without the state trying to whitewash it. So yeah, this is about donuts, but it's also about something way bigger. Freedom of expression, property rights, and pushing back when the government tells you, you can't say that here. That's what we believe in. That's what we stand for. And that's why at forlibertyshop.com you'll find merch that doesn't need zoning approval. It doesn't need an aesthetic review or a city permit. It's loud, it's proud, it's liberty on your chest, on your mug, and in your face. So if you're tired of begging bureaucrats for permission to be creative, grab something from forlibertyshop.com. And hey, no one's tried to fine us over it yet, because free speech doesn't stop at your front door, and neither does liberty. See you next time.
Andy Harris said that you didn't adequately convince enough people to vote for the bill. The House Freedom Caucus.
You mean after this speech?
After this speech, that's what
Oh,
you
yeah, I
said.
think so. Well, what do we see at the voters? I think it was a great talk. It wasn't a speech. We talked about that. Who do you work for?
Notice.
Who?
Notice.
I don't even know what the hell that is. You gotta get yourself a real job.
Get yourself a real
High school students paint a cheerful mural of pastries, donuts.
Get yourself a real job.
Get yourself a real job. Ah. That's what people tell me. Austin, get yourself a real job. Podcasting's not a real job. Good morning. Rise and freedom. Love to hear your thoughts. Kim McCurry says, dude, I got switched to some trading show and was like, who the hell does Austin have on and how long is he going to ramble? Some straight up marketing show. Hey, we market on this show. Founding Flavors. It's the best coffee in the world. We do a little marketing. You go to forlibertyshop.com. Brad Beckman says, his mom told me to get a real job last week. No! We need you here, Brad. Good producer now. Doom, doom, doom. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. Click the like button if you haven't already, and the follow button if today's your first time watching the Wake Up America show. We want you to be a regular guest. Hang out with Brad Beckman in the chat. We want you to hang out with people like Real Science Questions and Quest Fanning and Kim Curry and Entropy Nomad and C. Songaroth and Joni Rankin and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Georgia mother says she's being forced to keep her brain-dead pregnant daughter alive under an abortion ban law. It's torture for me, April Newkirk said. I see my daughter breathing, but she's not there.
At the hospital, we wouldn't be here.
Because of Georgia's heartbeat bill, which bans abortions after a fetal heartbeat is detected, her family says they weren't given any say in what.
Sorry, I got to rewind it for you guys. Started like halfway through there.
30-year-old Adriana Smith was about 9 weeks pregnant when she started having bad headaches in February.
Enough to know that something was wrong.
April Newkirk says her daughter went to Northside Hospital for help.
They gave her some medication, but they didn't do any tests. They didn't do any CT scans. If they did, they would have caught it.
The next morning, Adriana's boyfriend noticed something was terribly wrong.
She was gasping for air in her sleep, gargling. More than likely it was blood. She was taken to Emory, Decatur, and then she was transferred here.
To Emory University Hospital, where Adriana worked as an RN. Unfortunately, there was nothing doctors could do.
They did a CT scan and she had blood clots all in her head. So they had asked me if they could do a procedure to relieve them, and I said yes. And then they called me back and they said that they couldn't do it.
Doctors declared Adriana brain dead.
I feel as if somebody dropped the ball at the hospitals, and her boyfriend asked, please keep her. If she was kept at the hospital, we wouldn't be here.
Because of Georgia's heartbeat bill, which bans abortions after a fetal heartbeat is detected, her family says they weren't given any say in what happens next.
It's torture for me. I come here and I see my daughter breathing by the ventilator, but she's not there. And I'm touching her. And she has a son who I bring to see her.
Now, 21 weeks pregnant, her baby's health uncertain.
She's pregnant with my grandson, but my grandson may be blind, may not be able to walk, wheelchair bound. We don't know if he'll live once she has him.
A situation she says no one should be forced into.
It should have been left up to the family because I'm in my 50s, her dad is in his 50s, so we're going to have the responsibility with her partner to raise her sons, you know? And I'm not saying that we would have chose to terminate her pregnancy. What I'm saying is we should have had a choice.
Love to hear your thoughts on this one. I understand why they feel how they feel. I cannot get into people's hearts and minds and think for them, or even feel the pain that they feel directly. I cannot know what kind of what it feels like to be in this situation. I can say that if it were me and Stephanie, we would choose life. We would choose life because I would want my child to live. I would think that you would want your grandchildren to live. You would think that we would be thankful for the fact that modern technology makes it even possible. Because before this technology existed to keep these people alive, this wasn't even a possibility. My heart goes out to the family, and I do not envy them in this situation or this scenario. It's a terrible situation. It's a terrible scenario. I hope that the baby lives and has a full life and is healthy and is safe. Come to find out that Call of Duty tactics do work in real life. Hey, now, that's camping. Come on now. Hiding behind the wall like that. Las Vegas Metropolitan Area Police identified the man accused of opening fire inside a Las Vegas gym on Friday. Daniel Ortega is accused of killing a longtime Las Vegas Athletic Club employee and injuring at least 3 other people. Police shot Ortega as he was exiting the gym after his gun jammed. Fortunately, Ortega had a malfunction in his weapon, which saved this from becoming a mass casualty event. This is a shooting which occurred in Las Vegas, which was caught from multiple angles on police body cam. Gym shooting. I had the full 3 body cam. Let's see here. From the press conference. Here we go. Full body cam of the police shooting. This is just one angle. There were 3 different angles of this one. The Call of Duty community really had a blast with it because you could see here. Takes out a would-be mass shooter. Okay, so this is the guy who didn't get the kill shot. The guy in front of him who's spawn camping. Camper.
Hey, we gotta push in, dude.
Hey, we gotta push in, dude. Here we go. Watch this. Hides behind the wall.
No, no.
Waiting, camping, and... Oh! Gotcha, bitch. Nice shooting, soldier. Nice shooting, soldier. So yeah, the Call of Duty community has been having an absolute blast with that one. Spawn camping.
I think he is.
Happy to report that Call of Duty tactics do work in real life. Here we go.
Hey, we gotta push in, dude.
Hey, we gotta push in, dude. Like, that sounds literally like a...
No, no.
This is Call of Duty chat. Here we go, spawn camp, and boom. Now, here's the thing. We're gonna go back a little bit on this one. I'm gonna slow it down. The people are making fun of, if it's the gun community, they're gonna make fun of everything. They're making fun of the police officer, for the type of gun configuration that he has. They're all looking at to see like what he's using there. Some people said that his charging handle on his AR-15 there it would be good if you had gloves, big thick gloves. You can see his charging handle there. He's got a Sig Sauer red dot sight there on his AR-15. Now the shooter, when he comes out, let's see if I can pause it on the frame, on the right frame. He comes out. You can see that the shooter, you can actually see it right over here, is wearing brown leather shoes to try and run away, which, you know, I don't know. If I was a mass shooter and I had planned on doing some sprinting and I thought that I was going to be able to run away from cops shooting at me with the AR-15 there, I would probably wear some athletic sneakers that day. You know, you think you got to be ready for something like that, you know, but he's got a nice little polo, kind of like black polo, like something I might wear. But then he's got the brown leather dress shoes. I don't know, see if you can see it on that thing. It's really tough to get the frames on it. There we go. It pops out. There you are. You could just see the tip of his brown leather shoes there, which, you know, again, not recommended. But well done. Ortega was previously accused of a DUI, trafficking of a controlled substance, so a drug dealer. And he served community service on the drug charges. The DUI charge was eventually dropped. Didn't have a political party, so unfortunately we're not going to be able to call him a Democrat or a Republican, but we'll just assume that he's a Democrat anyway. Why not? Why be honest? It doesn't pay. Red team, blue team, let us know. Gloves for what? People bashing us poors. Yes, for poor people who are unable to afford the latest and greatest in tactical gear. Forget the shoes. This man is suffering from HVLI. I have no idea what HVLI means. The other cop had blue gloves, and I was just asking why. Yeah, gloves. I don't know why you would be wearing gloves. I mean, I would think, you know, if it's cold outside and you have your AR-15, you're wearing gloves, and you're trying to charge the charging handle on your AR-15. Here we go. 2v1. That's not even fair. They should be waiting until they get even teams. They basically just teabagged this guy. Look at him with his, you know, adjusting his red dot sight, his Sig Sauer red dot sight. I wonder what his lower is. Is it Colt? Cops get gloves when they plan to go hands-on. Rare Camellia says, did I miss talking about Nancy Mace's continued public mental health breakdown? We haven't talked about it yet, Camellia, but should we? Is that something we really need to devote our time to? Maybe the segment needs to be about the 19th Amendment and its consequences. There you go. It's easy for women to show their bobs and vagine and get a lot of attention. You would think that if you were already a congresswoman, that you wouldn't feel the need to resort to bobs and vagine tactics. But yes, Congresswoman Nancy Mace announced yesterday that she would be showing her naked body. Oh my God. Yes, Nancy. Rep. Nancy Mace showed a nude photograph of her. It was of her naked body. She claims that it was taken in secret without her consent. She says, I didn't know that I had been filmed. I didn't give my consent. I didn't give my permission, she claimed in a speech yesterday. And she's getting attacked by a lot of conservatives. Matt Walsh is saying she's a clown. She shouldn't be taken seriously. My buddy, Kenny Webster, is out there saying that there were some signs that there was a problem with Nancy Mace. Remember when she gave that speech to like the Faith and Freedom Coalition? Or it was like a Christian prayer breakfast, and she decided to talk about her sex life. Oh, wait. Wrong sound clip, Austin. Hold on here.
Another year, another standing room only event. And when I woke up this morning at 7, I was getting picked up at 7:45. Patrick, my fiance, tried to pull me by my waist over this morning in bed. And I was like, no, baby, we don't got time for that this morning. I got to get to the prayer breakfast and I got to be on time. And a little TMI, but he can wait. I'll see him later tonight. But I was here.
Yeah, Nancy. You got time later tonight. What, you ain't got a few minutes before the prayer breakfast, Nancy? Come on, ladies. You got time before the prayer breakfast. How long can it take? 2-3 minutes? Republican Rep. Nancy Mace, she shared a screenshot of her, quote, naked silhouette as she spoke at the House subcommittee hearing, alleging that the video had been taken without her consent. I don't know, but I don't believe it. I don't believe it. During the speech, Mace, who accused her former fiance and 3 other men of rape and sexual misconduct, mentioned an incident where Bryant had allegedly set up a secret camera, quote, without her knowledge. The Congresswoman says that freedom is not a theory. It is the right to breathe, the right to dress and undress, to sleep without someone's camera filming your naked body. The founders wrote liberty in parchment, but hidden cameras erase it in pixels. I'm sorry, what? She says that behind me is a screenshot from one of the videos I found of myself. The yellow circle, the naked silhouette, is my naked body. She had to circle it because it's basically like one of those surveillance videos where you can't see anything. But she very cleverly, very slyly advertised it is on X to preview for the subcommittee hearing for people to tune in, because she would be showing her naked body, but her body not quite that naked. She says, today I exposed a monster whose victims deserve justice. The victims also deserve stronger federal and state laws to protect them. To other potential victims, I want you to know I have your back. I would run through a brick wall to protect women and girls in South Carolina. Sure, these were her latest comments that claimed, after she claimed in February 10th that she'd accidentally uncovered some of the most heinous crimes against women imaginable. Every time that something like this happens, now we're going to think crying wolf. And that's the thing, is the things like this harm the victims, because if you don't have credibility when you make claims, the people that you're attempting to champion, you're not really championing their cause. At least you're not doing a good job at it. I think there was it reminds me of a Frederick Bastiat quote where about a good cause being ineptly defended. The worst thing that could happen to a good cause is not to be skillfully attacked, but to be ineptly defended, says Frederick Bastiat, or said. Entropy Nomad says, I, for one, am disappointed for reasons. Yes. There were many people who were saying, I'd rather see AOC. Some said Lauren Boebert, but I think you're all liars, or no one has introduced you to the lovely Anna Paulina Luna. Since that's what Congress has been reduced to, we're reduced to naked bodies, since that's what we're at. If that's what you have to offer, ladies, then that's all that we're interested in, I guess. Is that all you have to offer? Well, then that's all we need. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning into the Wake Up America show this morning. It's been a fantastic show. You guys have been an incredible audience, and you've been so generous. Thank you for your financial support and your contributions. Thank you to rumble.com for supporting the Wake Up America show and putting us on the front page today so that we could be reaching out to hundreds and hundreds more viewers than we normally do. It's great to see you all. Great to meet you all. There's a good 200 people who are here this morning who probably have no idea who I am and got introduced to me today. The easiest way to find me again tomorrow, if you want to hang out with us again, and tomorrow, speaking of lovely ladies, they don't take their clothes off. I know you're sad. The Ladies of Liberty will be with us tomorrow on the Wake Up America show. We call it Thirsty Thursdays, but you see about as much as you saw in the Nancy Mace hearing, but with a lot less BSing about it. The lovely Ladies of Liberty, Camelia Peterson and Daniela Pensack will be with us tomorrow, as well as the king of all libertarians tomorrow morning. You don't want to miss it. So click the follow button over at rumble.com/AP for Liberty. That's rumble.com/AP for Liberty. And if you do join us again tomorrow morning, we hope that you'll drop a comment. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the news of the day, and we'd love for you to be a regular guest. 573-319-1586. That's 573-319-1586. If you want to communicate with me, send me a text message. If you guys have thoughts and you want to reach out to us. As we exit, we like to exit through the Grift Shop, not the gift shop. The Grift Shop at forlibertyshop.com is available and open for business right now. You can get our delicious founding flavors coffee. You can check out the Summer of Freedom collection with our Gulf of America merchandise, bikinis, swim trunks, tumblers, tank tops, sandals. The beach towels are the hottest item right now. But do yourself a favor, take some time. Ask yourself, if a lovely lady showed up to the beach party and she was wearing a tank top that said, FDR sucks, would you wife her? Would you wife a girl like that? FDR sucked and prolonged the Great Depression. Those are the kinds of fun, funky, unique, and original shirts and items that you can find only at the Grift Shop at forlibertyshop.com. Thanks so much for tuning in here, guys, today. It's nice to see you and meet so many of you. I hope I get to see you again tomorrow, right here again on the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network. Bye, guys.
Imagine this. High school students paint a cheerful mural of pastries, donuts, muffins, cinnamon rolls, forming a mountain range under golden sunbeams. It's charming, it's creative, it's painted on the side of a family-run bakery in Conway, New Hampshire. Enter the town's zoning officials, armed with measuring tape, a clipboard, and zero chill. They declared with a straight face that this colorful donut mural wasn't art, it was an illegal sign. Why? Because the mural depicted items sold inside the bakery, and that, according to local code, made it advertising, which meant the mural needed to be smaller, duller, or just disappear altogether. Yes, the town actually threatened the bakery owner with fines and even criminal charges over painted pastries on his own wall. Let that glaze sink in. Sean Young, owner of Levitt's Country Bakery, wasn't about to let the local sign police steamroll his rights. So with the help of the Institute for Justice, a legal team that exists solely to slap back nonsense like this, He took the town to federal court. And this week he won. A federal judge ruled that the town's actions violated the First Amendment. The mural is speech. Full stop. Judge Joseph LaPlante said the town's enforcement was illogical and had no rational connection to any stated government interest. The town couldn't even keep its own logic straight, because if the mural had been of actual mountains instead of powdered sugar-covered ones, it would have passed inspection. You could paint the Swiss Alps and be fine. But the second one of those peaks turns into a cinnamon roll, boom, violation. This is what happens when power is given to people who are more concerned with code enforcement than constitutional rights. When personal expression is filtered through a government approval process, the outcome is predictable, bland, beige, and boring, and in this case, dangerous. Not because donuts threaten democracy, but because petty rules applied inconsistently open the door to full-blown censorship. Once you start letting local officials decide what counts as acceptable art, you're on a fast track to expression by permission slip. The judge got it right. He ruled that Conway's sign code was a content-based restriction, meaning it discriminated against speech based on what was being said, or in this case, what was being painted. And that, constitutionally speaking, is a massive no-no. You don't get to ban a mural just because it's donut-themed. That's not regulating signs, that's regulating messages. What made this even more ridiculous is the mural was painted by students. Local high schoolers contributed to it. The town didn't just try to wipe out a piece of art, it tried to erase a creative collaboration between a small business and local kids. They weaponized bureaucracy against community. And for what? Because someone thought donuts were too commercial? You're telling me a mural of local culture is somehow more offensive than those massive blinking gas station signs cluttering half the town? Please. This is what overregulation looks like. When the people enforcing the rules stop serving the public and start policing expression, you get nonsense like this. And it's not just Conway. Towns and cities across the country use zoning and signage codes to kill murals, flag displays, even protest art. It's the tyranny of aesthetics, where your message is fine, but only if it doesn't disrupt the visual harmony of some planning board member's fantasy streetscape. But speech doesn't need to be tidy. It doesn't need to be neutral. It doesn't need to match the trim color of the building next door. Speech needs to be free. And that's why this case matters. Because if a local bakery can't paint a pastry on its own wall without getting cited, what can you do without permission? The answer is less and less, unless people fight back. And thankfully, this bakery did. They didn't cave. They didn't sandblast the mural. They took it to court. And a judge reminded the town that the Constitution still outranks the zoning board. Sean Young didn't sue for millions. He asked for $1 in damages. This was never about money. It was about principle. He wanted to defend the right to paint a joyful, delicious, totally harmless mural on his own building without the state trying to whitewash it. So yeah, this is about donuts, but it's also about something way bigger. Freedom of expression, property rights, and pushing back when the government tells you, you can't say that here. That's what we believe in. That's what we stand for. And that's why at forlibertyshop.com you'll find merch that doesn't need zoning approval. It doesn't need an aesthetic review or a city permit. It's loud, it's proud, it's liberty on your chest, on your mug, and in your face. So if you're tired of begging bureaucrats for permission to be creative, grab something from forlibertyshop.com. And hey, no one's tried to fine us over it yet, because free speech doesn't stop at your front door, and neither does liberty. See you next time.